Hey, greetings everyone. It's GleeCon. I'm back, baby. Thanks for tuning in. It's a pleasure to be here, bringing you another episode of Lore of Warcraft. If you like what you see, make sure that you subscribe. Join in. We got over 1,000 episodes, so you can go back into our backlog. I got tons of stuff, especially if you like this one. There's a lot of cool books and more to come. On the last episode, we continued our Horde exploration of the Stone Talon Mountains. Did a couple quests on that with our Tauren shaman, who's a healer but still gets it done. We've also been reading through this World of Warcraft original magazine, official magazine. This is the third issue of the first volume. It's a quarterly run that came out right when Cataclysm was about to drop. On the last episode of that, I think we did we read about item creation as well as a couple other things, but it was really a cool interview with the people that make Blizz, and that's one of the neat things I like about this comic series. So stay a while and listen. Today's article, we're going to kick off with Bad Bid Business, Working the Auction House by Matthew Craggs. For many, the auction house is more than a way to get rid of extra items. It's a game all on its own. I mean, and I love that it's there. Very rarely do I use it. The only time I have ever used it is when I get some kind of like bind on equip high level item from a raid, and it's only happened to me 2 or 3 times where I know I can go drop it and get like some kind of obscene amount of gold for it. And you do. People are all about that. Alliance or Horde, PvP or PvE, there is one tie that runs through Azeroth: gold. Whether you're buying a flask of Endless Rage before a 25-player Icecrown Citadel run or selling a few ruined leather scraps, gold is an essential element in World of Warcraft. There are plenty of ways to earn gold and many more ways to spend it, but the most blatant form of capitalism is the auction house. For some players, the auction house is more than a way to earn a quick buck or armor upgrade. It's a game within a game, a chance to stand out in the world, discover fresh challenges and solutions, and of course, to become filthy stinking rich. There's an article I read one time, not in this magazine, that was all about a guy. I can't remember if he worked for Blizzard or not, but he definitely worked in the gaming industry. And he basically took on the life of being a gold farmer, and dude made bank, just straight bank. I mean, you had to live and breathe. Like his, aside from the fact that he said he was just bringing in straight mad money. Like I'm talking, he was probably making at least 5 to 6 figures in a year doing it. But the other big takeaway was he said he hated World of Warcraft. At that point, he hated the game. You're not really playing it in a real way if you're doing that. He's like, it was my job. I didn't want to play. I didn't want to turn the game on outside of when I was, doing it, because I had challenged. And he only did it kind of for research purposes. Like he wanted to know what it would be like. The auction house can make me money while I'm at work or out doing other things, says Serinin. Playing the World of Warcraft market is the best way to make gold with the least amount of work. Serenus Sargeras of the US says, I can run my 25 daily quests and fly around to gather resources myself, but these actions are very time intensive and I must be logged into the game to do this. The auction house can make me money while I'm at work or out doing other things. This doesn't mean that gold grows on resto druids for avid auction players, rather that they seek to maximize gains from the time they spend. And I have done that calculus, before, where I'm like, okay, well, I want to grind out whatever for these profession achievements. Would it be more time intensive to get the gold needed to buy the mats or to grind the mats themselves? And there are times, it's not frequent, when grinding the gold is a better option. I'm involved in the auction house more than the average player, Basil Bernstein explains, but I don't spend more time playing than them. I just spend my time more efficiently. Basil, who goes by Euripides on Drendon US, writes the blog Goldcapped on WoW.com. Though he has many profession-specific tips, Basil admits that the economy in Azeroth is basically boils down to supply and demand and why people are buying stuff. Supply and demand can come from a myriad of sources, some a natural result of the market, and others born from human characteristics. Primordial Serenite is an example of a naturally strong commodity. Hard to procure, highly sought after. Human influencers can sway supply and demand as well. For example, bind on equip items that drop from the raid, that is the target of the weekly quest, becomes more plentiful for a few days, but if you sell right away, the prices are down. Tarsuski on Medivh in the US points out, wait 2 weeks and the price will go up when that raid isn't the weekly anymore. A member of Dauntless, Tarsuki, also notes that prices tend to drop during the weekend when more players are online and posting more auctions, whereas gem prices may skyrocket when raids reset on Tuesdays. Basil reminds us that an auction house seller should never underestimate a player's need for instant gratification. That's dang true. During Burning Crusade, I made my first 5,000 gold buying recipes in Shaptrith City and reselling them on the auction house. Players were willing to pay more to save themselves the travel effort. If you've ever bought or sold 2 small eggs for 10 gold during Feast of Winter Veil, then you've seen what laziness can do to supply and demand. That's absolutely right, although I'm not that guy. I will go and farm those small eggs. And I did when I got those achieves. To dig deeper and employ richer strategies, there's only one path to take. Research, Serenus advises. Pick only a few items at first and gather data on those items over a period of time. I have a notebook that sits next to me where I gather pricing data. I mean, I have one too, but it's all questing data. Because that's what I prioritize. I've even gone as far to plot them on a graph. The more data that I have, the more I am able to see how the market trends. Mods such as Auction Light, Altaholic, and Auctioneer, which Basil describes as a Swiss Army knife. It doesn't do everything perfectly, but no other add-on does everything that Auctioneer does. Can help you track auction house data, manage crafters, post auctions in bulk, and search for good deals. Aside from the market data, Basil insists it's equally important, if not more so, to know what role the items you're selling plays in the game. Understand why buyers buy it, who's buying it, and what someone's going to do with it. As a cautionary tale, Basil recalls a time during Burning Crusades when he spent half his gold on an item that the auctioneer told him was a steal in an attempt to resell the item for a profit. Later, when the item didn't sell, he found out a recent patch had made the item nearly obsolete and no one would pay for it. Auctioneer didn't understand the role of the purchase, just the data, and Basil paid the price. Auctioneer requires that you do regular scans of the auction house so it can extrapolate trends and provide you with a good snapshot of the market. By setting parameters, you can then post auctions that automatically undercut similar stacks on the auction house or ferret out good buys using a snatch list. Yeah, like when I was buying the those pages for the scrapbook or whatever, sometimes I would find them for silver, but sometimes they would range anywhere from 5 to 10 silver, all totally worth the wait. I mean, worth the price to cut down on the possibly infinite amount of time due to RNG that you would need for those individual pages. But there was a couple times when I was just fishing through, waiting for the one page I wanted. Really, it was for my wife. I was trying to get them for her. And I just hit the right time, and like all the pages appeared for like 50 copper each. So yeah, if you had an app like that or whatever, a mod. Mods such as Auctioneer don't make the money-making game easier. They just make it more efficient. And one of the biggest time savers is automatic undercutting. Probably one of the most controversial topics amongst auctioneers, both amateur and pro, is undercutting. We'll go back to those. Everyone agrees that if you undercut, post an auction with a lower buyout price than the others listed, your auction will sell. Where the discrepancies appear is in how often and by how much do you undercut. I've undercut, sure. What annoys me is people who put up something that drastically undercuts the other items. Tarot Sky says, a buyer's going to buy whatever's at the top of the list. Why undercut 10 gold when you can undercut by 25 silver and still sell? In Tarot Sky's opinion, you cut profits not only for yourself, but also for the other people who have to try to undercut you. That's true. You depress the whole market, so you got to be careful. Other auctioneers, often more casual auction house players, fear they can't compete with people who closely monitor their auctions and will cancel and repost with an undercut if someone undercuts them by a trivial amount. This type of competitive undercutting can lead to what Basil calls auction PvP. Okay, we'll get back to that in a second. The auction house basics. What can I sell? Most anything that is not soulbound or a quest item can be sold on the auction house, and some quest items can. I like how we've got this goblin pinching his pockets open, and then we have a pickpocket rogue there. How does it work? Talk to an auctioneer NPC, pick an item to sell from your inventory, set a minimum or buyout price, and a time limit of 12, 24, or 48 hours. You'll have to put down a deposit on your auction, which will be refunded if your item sells. When your item sells, of course it will. You'll get the gold in your mailbox. What's the catch? The service isn't free. The auction house takes a cut from every successful auction. The cut is 5% for faction auctions and 15% for auctions on the neutral auction house. Here we just have pictures of people in this is Bean Counter and this is Auction Light. So they're just kind of showing you what some of the mods look like. The birth of the auction house. World of Warcraft. Here we have a separate sidebar article World of Warcraft relies on the auction houses as the backbone, the heart, and the central nervous system of the in-game economy. These bartering posts are a means of supporting, keeping alive, and communicating the health of the economy. For players, they're a means to a quick buck or upgrade, but for Blizzard developers, the auction house is a constantly evolving machine without which the game's infrastructure could crumble. It's also probably one of the most controversial parts of the game. In the beginning of World of Warcraft's beta, the auction house didn't even exist. As a result, the developers felt something was missing. When we created the auction house, we wanted to solve a problem we had in the beta test and also create a sub-game within World of Warcraft while we were at it. Game director Tom Chilton explains the problem we were trying to solve was the cumbersome method of buying and selling goods entirely through public chat channels. However, it was pretty clear in our beta test that having the entire trade economy for the game operate through public chat channels was an archaic way to do it. I don't think they invented auction house. I think we... Woo! Gesundheit. In structuring the auction house, the developers wanted to encourage a metagame that didn't only serve as a means of delivering necessary items to buyers, but also as an opportunity for sellers to earn a profit. To that end, we wanted to make sure that the system would work for players that wanted to log in, quickly search the auction house for good deals, and be able to resell them with what we believed at the time to be reasonable efficiency. Now, with the release of the remote auction house, the developers are even redefining reasonable efficiency. However, the players are the only people who benefit from the transactions that take place every second. The design team, many of whom are avid buyers and sellers themselves, watch the auction houses with a close eye, but gold isn't on their mind. We're able to track the prices of major commodities, for example, enchanting materials, metals, etc., to see whether supply is outstripping demand or vice versa, Tom says. Information of this nature may help lead to decisions that affect the rest of the world, such as the removal of crafting cooldowns. Additionally, the auction house itself is constantly under review. Past changes include simplification of the UI, the ability to sort by item type, and the removal of the 8-hour auction. Many gamers who regularly play the auction house are pushing for a buy order system where they could place an order for a set number of an item at a predetermined cost and allow sellers to search the auction house looking for a buyer instead of the other way around. Though there are no official plans for such a change, I still don't think they do that. Anything is possible, as the auction house has proved to have a life of its own, occasionally even surprising Chilton and the developers. I mean, they did kind of get into that more with Dragonflight with the whole crafting profession system, which I do not play with. That kind of stuff has zero appeal to me. When we created the auction houses, we included the neutral Goblin auction house that players could use to trade items between the Alliance and the Horde. Tom says, obviously we knew it would be used for that, but we didn't consider that it would be used to simply move gold from one faction to another by placing a low-value item on the auction house at an absurdly high price for a character on the other faction to purchase. Absolutely. That was the only way to do it back then. Now that they know where the faction gold is going, maybe someone can tell us where all the auction house deposits and cuts end up. For real. It's just a way of them to kind of depress the economy in just a small way. And I'm glad that they've taken that out. You can now send gold between factions. So they took away that the need to do that. Auctioneers are by nature a big, gregarious lot and are often very competitive. Either you're going to make a sale or he's going to make the sale. The competition can be rigorous and people often utilize extreme measures to take down their competition. Attacking the supply, a high-risk maneuver, attempts to corner the market by controlling the product. I've heard stories of glyph guys who buy thousands of herb stacks so the other guy can't get their mats. Basil says they're making a farmer very rich, but if the farmer can produce more because he's making a profit, he may flood the market and increase demand. PvP becomes a test of tenacity, bag space, and time. Still, as Serenus notes, it's very hard to control the market. I never know how many other people are getting on a fat stack of goods, and there have been times when I start to buy on a massive scale only to see someone else come into the market and dump a large stack of their own resources into the auction house. Here, Serenus would be left with many stacks of an item that's price is unnaturally low. The choice is to sell at a low price or wait it out and hope the market stabilizes. It's just like the stock market. Either way, Serenus is going to lose time and money. With the know-how and these little tricks, auctioneers sit on a thick chunk of gold. Though no one wanted to go on record for exactly how much gold they stockpiled, some had hit the gold cap, which is, there used to be a gold cap. I don't know if there still is. 214,748 gold, 36 silver, 46 copper, multiple times. Moreover, they do what every rich person does. They spend it. Except instead of charity organizations or flashy cars and fancy clothes, World of Warcraft offers guilds, mounts, and armor. Right now I'm funding my guild, Basil explains, where the profits go from a half hour a day in the auction house. But that's light. So long as I make 5,000 gold a week, I break even. I'm a huge mount collector. To Ruskai counters, I've easily spent 1 million gold on mounts. Some of that money, he admits, went to inflated price tags, but he doesn't care because he has the money to throw away. My mage is my main character. Everything else is subservient to him. I'll spend anything, everything for him. If I want it badly enough, I'm going to throw so much gold at your face. I feel that way about my main. Unlike raids or PvP, I'm so committed to my main at this point with all the achievements tied to him. Like, I could never back off it. There's just no way. Even right now, where I don't like the recent patch because I play Assassin Rogue, I don't like it. I don't like the. We were screwed in Shadowlands. We were like one of the worst specs most of the time. I loved the most recent patch. It was really good. And then they've, of course, so what do? They nerf him again. Unlike raids or PvP, you can reap the rewards of the auction houses whether you invest 5 minutes or 5 days. If you buy and sell wisely and take the time to understand the value of an item beyond its sale price, you will start to see a higher return from fewer hours of gameplay. Just remember what the goblins say. Time is money. All right, so here we have the best bracers ever there. Auctions are never out of your range. More auction stuff. It's going to be the theme of this episode. The Remote Auction House puts the power of the bid in your hands no matter where you are, by Andy Salisbury. Economical thinkers all over Azeroth have been making the auction house work to their advantage since the days of Upper Blackrock Spire. Whether you'd like to sell the fruits of your high-level profession or just a stack of leather, there are plenty of great ways to make use of the player-run marketplace. Previously, you had to log into World of Warcraft in order to post new auctions, check on those you've currently listed, and collect your winnings. With the release of the Remote Auction House, you now have the ability to browse the auction house and keep track of your auctions in real time, no matter where you are. And with a subscription to the new World of Warcraft remote service, you can buy items, post auctions, and collect the gold from successful sales from anywhere too. Is that a pay service? I would pay for it. Here's kind of how it looks. It looks like the app. Here's the little goblin like, hey, what do you do? So just how does the Remote Auction House work? First things first, make your way to the Auction House section of the World of Warcraft Armory, which is that website, WoW Armory. Log into your Battle.net account and you'll find yourself on the Summary tab for your primary character. This is this big one. From there, you can navigate to the Browse Auctions, My Bids, My Auctions, and Create Auctions tab. So this is one of the ones that we get, I feel like one of these per episode at least, where it's really just an ad in the form of an article. The Browse Auctions tab, that's this little guy right here, number 2, will let you see everything on your faction auction house or the neutral auction house. From there, you can search by name or browse through broad categories like weapons, glyphs, or gems and fine-tune your hunt if you're just looking for, say, two-headed weapons or druid-specific glyphs. Any player can surf the auction house this way for free, and with a subscription to World of Warcraft Remote, you can bid or buy out the item of your choice once you've found the category you're looking for. If you've got some outstanding bids you're curious about, make your way over to the third tab, this one, My Bids. There you'll find the status of your active bids, including those you've won and those you hadn't. If you placed a bid on an item and would prefer to buy it out instead, you can easily do that too. And here, 4. So you put up some of your own auctions last night and want to check them while you're at work, make your way to the My Auctions tab. From there, you can see just how healthy your current auctions are. If you've got some coin waiting for you in your inbox, or if the auction went completely untouched, if your auctions ended up selling, you can collect your hard-earned gold right through your browser. If some of your auctions didn't sell, or if you remembered that you left a few stacks of Berean leather in your backpack, don't worry about it. It happens to the best of us. Head to the Create Auctions tab, number 5 here, and set up your sales just like you would in-game. From there, you can check which sellable items are in your bags, bank, mailbox, or all of the above. Once you've found what you want to sell, set up the stack size and total stacks just as you normally would. While you're setting up your auctions, you can even see how much competitors are selling theirs for, so you can price your loot accordingly. It doesn't matter whether you're just trying to get rid of a few stacks of reagents or you're a power seller with an economics degree, the Remote Auction House has something for everyone. The ability to browse the Remote Auction House and check the status of your bids is available for free as part of the Armory, while an optional subscription to World of Warcraft Remote will let you buy, sell, and collect your earnings for $2.99 every month. Check out the chart for exactly what you get for the coin. This would be the chart. Yep, this is for the price of a latte. That's just such a trope. Now you don't even see that. Like everything's for the price of your daily coffee every day. First of all, I make my coffee at home. I don't buy a latte every day, but I know some do. So no matter what, you can browse the auction house, get real-time notification of your auctions, get real-time notice of them when you're outbid, or if you win, view your gold, view the status of your auctions, view the items you can sell in your bag, view the status of the auctions you're bidding on, view the items you've sold, view your expired auctions, view the status of auctions you created, view your successes. And with the paid account, you can bid, buy out, create auctions, collect gold from bids, collect all outstanding gold with one click, cancel your auctions, or relist the items for sale from your expired auctions. And mobility is king. They're putting it on smartphone. Look at these archaic smartphones. So you're the type of person that finds yourself on the road pretty regularly, be it on the bus, at the airport, or anytime you're away from the computer. You've no doubt had lingering thoughts about just how your auctions are faring. Enter the World of Warcraft mobile armory app, available as a free download on Apple's App Store for your iPhone or iPod Touch, and the remote auction house app available for Android. Crank up either app and log into your Battle.net account, and you'll be able to access the remote auction house directly from your mobile device. Just like the web version, you can check your auctions, browse those currently running on your realm, faction or neutral, keep up to date on the status of your bids and auctions, and put more goods up for sale. I promise, you know what, guys? If you wanted to pay me, I'll get like my total ad voice only. While it's all on a much smaller scale than the version available in your browser, it keeps all the functionality. Just make sure to keep your mailbox nice and empty so you can receive all the income from your auctions posted on the run. Wow, that was just an ad. Okay, advice. We'll bust one out. We did engineering last issue. Let's do the Crafty Crafter's Guide to Jewel Crafting by Josh Augustine. Masters of all things small, shiny, and fashionable, jewel crafters make the world of Azeroth sparkle with gorgeous jewelry and adornment. It requires perfect precision and a steady hand, but if you're ready to take filling your gear's gem sockets into your own hands, it's time to give jewel crafting a try. Diamonds are forever. But in Azeroth, that precious gem isn't going to be very useful without a jewel crafter to give it a particular cut, causing it to boost one or two of your attributes. Gems have been in the game since World of Warcraft launch. Engineers, tailors, and the rest of the crafters were pounding and weaving moss agates and citrines into their products long ago. But it wasn't until the Burning Crusade that gems became the centerpiece for another level of gear and character customization. This revolution of gem cutting was partially fueled by the Draenei, whose extensive experience in fitting magical gems into armor came crashing down to Azeroth in that expansion. Jewel crafting is a hardy profession filled with nuances, perfect for those players looking for a profession with almost no end to the challenges and the rewards of pursuing the more economic aspects of the game. Team player. Any guild leader worth his or her salt knows the immense value of an experienced jewel crafter to a guild, regardless of its size. Anyone getting new gear on a semi-regular basis, and let's face it, that's just about everyone, from every night raiders to casual alt levelers, will require new gems frequently. To serve the broadest market possible with their gems, jewel crafters need a lot of recipes. In fact, because gems are so diverse and such an essential part of character customization, jewel crafters have more recipes available to them than any other crafters in the game. As a jewel crafter, this is fantastic because it means that no matter what reputation you're raising, what dungeon you're running, or what enemy you're killing in Northrend, there's a very good chance that you can acquire a jewel crafting recipe along the way. There's a lot more to jewel crafting than just gems. Necklaces, rings, and the occasional trinket fall under the profession's jurisdiction as well. Some of the jewelry is tame, providing straightforward bonuses to attributes like spirit or attack power, but other rings and necklaces provide very unique bonuses, such as the Embrace of the Dawn, a level 70 necklace that buffs the user's party, raising their stats by 10. The entire arsenal of necklaces available at a variety of levels is capable of just about anything from boosting critical strike rating to absorbing shadow damage incoming to any party member. That is actually OP. Especially at earlier levels, you can bet a friendly jewel crafter has some jewelry that will help you considerably. Kind of a neat picture of like a night elf. There's gems in them that are ores. Jewel crafting is a profession of refinement. Take things already valuable and tweak them delicately to make them even more valuable. One of the most important ways that jewel crafters do this is by prospecting ore. Miners chip away at the earth and clay to reveal usable ore, but jewel crafters take it one step further, sifting through the ore to find small precious gems located within. Functionally, the jewel crafter requires a stack of 5 ore in order to prospect it, which will reveal anywhere between 1 and 3 gems determined by chance. This can be done with almost any type of ore. It is one of the primary ways that a jewel crafter can produce enough gems to satisfy all of his or her customers. It's also a great way to make some quick money on the side, as quite often the gems found within the ore are worth more than the amount that the miners sell their ore for at the auction house. Look at these. It's all these rings, but it's like a before Thanos was a thing. It's like a Thanos almost. Well, I guess it's two hands, so not really. Ooh, shinies. Of course, some jewel crafters value function over fashion and lean toward the ultra shiny focusing lens gems that create a wavy line of magic between you and your target. It's a fun effect for joking around during raids or creating techno dance clubs in Dalaran, but their true value comes when you're trying to track someone down. Whether it's a flag carrier hiding inside a bush in a battleground or a rare mob spawn you've selected with the target command but just can't spot on screen, simply use the focusing lens and your character will be whipped around to face your target with big wavy lines pointing you in its exact direction. That is actually helpful for hunting rares. You'll have to settle for these focusing lenses only helping you find your prey, not actually kill them. Thankfully, jewel crafters aren't selfish, so all of the fine jewelry mentioned up to this point in the article can be traded or bought at the auction house by anyone, regardless of their profession choices, and jewel crafters can make a pretty penny by selling their goods to other characters. Especially at earlier levels, you can be a beta-friendly jewel crafter has some jewelry that will help you considerably, so when you encounter a jewel crafter in your travels, stop for a moment to browse his or her wares, pick up a fancy new piece of glittering gear, and send them along with your thanks. Gems galore. What are all the holes in my gear for anyway? Receiving gear with gem sockets in it can be pretty confusing the first time, but the rules of socketing gems are pretty simple. No one's confused by that. Like, they've been doing gem sockets since Diablo 2. Most sockets are associated with a particular color, red, blue, or yellow, though occasionally you'll encounter a colorless socket or one that accepts only meta gems. Colored gems come in each of the three primary colors as well as three hybrid possibilities. For example, there are red gems and blue gems, but also purple gems that are considered to be both red and blue for all intents and purposes. Matching up all of the sockets on a piece of gear with gems of their respective colors will grant an additional bonus listed on the gear as its socket bonus, but it's not required. You can put a blue gem in a yellow socket, for example. The exception to this rule is meta gems, which are high-quality gems with especially potent effects such as increasing your run speed or chance to resist stuns in addition to typical stat bonuses. Only headpieces have a meta gem slot, meaning each character will only have one meta gem equipped at a time. These meta gems have requirements in order to function, such as the character having at least 2 blue gems and 2 yellow gems in the rest of their gear, so players need to be aware of these rules when choosing which gems to insert into their gear. Saving the best for yourself. Jewel Crafter's generosity has a limit, so some things are reserved only for those truly dedicated to the craft, such as a series of animal-themed trinkets available in 3 waves, levels 35 to 55, level 70, and level 75. There are 5 types of trinket in each wave, one for each major role in the game: melee DPS, caster DPS, healing, and tanking. And one for speed or stealth bonuses. An additional trinket, the Dark Iron Scorpion figurine available at level 55, is fairly unique in Azeroth as its on-use ability summons a small scorpion that temporarily causes all of your melee attacks to inflict a damage over time poison. Ouch. Animals aren't the only ones that love jewel crafters either. Tiny stone constructs will come to the aid of jewel crafters in their moments of need. Some cool pictures of the different gems. Of course, you do have to build them first. These tiny stone statues channel healing powers into their master with great fervor, healing the jewel crafter for a short time before their power supply is exhausted and they collapse. Don't forget gems. Jewel crafters cut incredible gems for other players, but is it really any surprise that they'd save the most powerful gems for themselves? Dragon's Eyes are special gems purchased from the jewel crafting shop in Dalaran that are imbued with a special type of magic that allows them to boost your abilities in ways that other more widely available gems can only dream of. A 65 to 70% increase in stats granted over epic gems, usually. Jewel crafters can possess as many Dragon Eyes as they can afford, but are only allowed to have 3 in their equipped gear at any time. All that glitters is gold. So you want to make the jump into jewel crafting. Drunken X of Duraton US has some advice for you. I would definitely recommend jewel crafting to new players. It can be expensive to level, but really pays off in the end. I think I'm going to pick it up on my main that we do with at least one of the characters, if not both, when we play through Burning Crusade Classic. It can be expensive to level, but really pays off in the end. Shipwrecked of Bloodscalp US suggests that new jewel crafters prospect ore to acquire the gems they need to level, but because the gems you get through this method are determined by chance, you may need to sell your excess quantities of some gem types to buy the ones you need from the auction house. Another good option is to advertise in the trade channel that you're willing to craft anything for free using their materials, and if you're really looking to level quickly, cost be damned, offer a 5 gold tip if you level up your jewel crafting skill using their materials. Instead of advertising, Drunken X prefers to simply keep an eye on the trade chat channel and meet up with someone in Dalaran who's posting for a certain cut. Go big or go home. This is probably tied to this, where if you're feeling lucky, you can gamble a bit by buying stacks of ore and prospecting them for gems. Jewel crafting may be expensive to level, but once you start hitting the higher levels, you can earn that money back 100-fold. Jewel crafting is the epitome of the old saying, you need to have money to make money. And if you can afford to lay down some serious gold up front, you can get your hands on some hefty, almost instant profit via the auction house. One option is to purchase uncut gems from the auction house, cut them into a version of that gem that's very valuable in your realm. You'll need to keep an eye on the constantly fluctuating prices and put it right back up on the auction house. Occasionally, you'll get a perfect version when cutting an uncommon Northrend gem. These gems have slightly higher stat bonuses and command a little extra gold when sold. If you're feeling lucky, you can gamble a bit by buying many stacks of ore or mining them yourself, prospecting them all, cutting the gems you find, and selling the cut gems. I feel like they've really downplayed gem crafting now. It's just not jewel crafting. You don't get that much socketed gear. Shipwreck recommends Serenite ore as the conservative investment, which has a... This is our last page. Oh, that's the same picture we had on the cosplay thing. But it's that action figure. It's actually pretty cool. Has a 4% chance individually for each color rare gem to drop. If you have gold and are willing to gamble on the gem market, you want to buy some titanium ore. It has the same 4% chance of each rare gem, but you also get a 4% chance of any color epic gem dropping. I like to choose a price point where the ore is cheap enough that I don't get any epic or rare gems. I don't feel I lose out completely. If you're a miner, you can control the entire production process from raw materials scavenged from the earth to a perfectly cut gem placed into a piece of gear. Shipwrecked advises that you should have one cut for each color and quality of gem because you'll make more for a cut gem than an uncut one, and you don't want to throw gold away by not being able to cut a gem. Of course, if you're missing cuts for some uncommon gems, you can instead combine them with a frozen orb every 20 hours to create an icy prism, which is guaranteed to contain rare gems and possibly an epic gem. Regardless of how you choose to make your money, and even if you choose to go the altruistic route, cutting gems to help friends and allies instead of profiting off of them, jewel crafting opens up exciting avenues for enjoying World of Warcraft in entirely new ways. So get out there, get your hands dirty, and give it a try. Alright, so now we're on the last little sidebar of this episode here tonight, called Walking the Walk. Today, this morning, whenever you're watching. As a jewel crafter, you have a lot of recipes to learn if you want to be able to help out everyone in your guild, but luckily, Timothy Jones in the Dalaran Jewel Crafting Shop wants to help. He has some tough quotas to meet from his wealthy shipping concerns in the Goblin capital of Undermine, and he'll reward you with gold, experience, and a Dalaran Jewel Crafter's token each time you help him out by completing one of his daily quests, chosen at random from 6 possible quests. These tokens can be used to purchase recipes and dragon's eyes from him or his associate Tiffany Cartier. All of the quests require that you attain a specific item from Prey in Northrend and combine it with 2 uncommon gems to make a nice piece of jewelry you can sell. You got a lot of options for places where you can hunt the necessary material for each quest, but some are closer to Dalaran than others. Here are our suggestions to help you meet your quota quickly. So if he wants a Blood Jade amulet, you make that with Dark Jade, Bloodstone, and a Vrykul amulet, which is dropped by any Northrend Vrykul. Convenient location is the assorted Vrykul in Emerheim in the center of Icecrown. A low-level alternative would be the assorted Vrykul in Scorn in northwestern Howling Fjord. Bright Armor Relic is made with Bloodstone and a huge Citrine and elemental armor scraps dropped by any Northrend elementals. Convenient locations would be the Crystalline Ice Elementals west of the Crystal Vice in northern Dragonblight, with a low-level alternative being Frozen Elementals south and east of Death's Stand in eastern Borean Tundra. Glowing Ivory figurines take Chalcedony, Shadow Crystal, and Northern Ivory dropped by Northrend Shovel Tusks or Mammoths. And the Ironwood Mammoths west of K3 and Storm Peaks are a nice, easy, convenient place, but you could get them from Shovel Tusks in all of the southern part of Howling Fjord. The Intricate Bone figurine is made with Sun Crystal, Dark Jade, and Proto-Dragon Bone, found by any Northrend Proto-Dragons. You can get that from the Blighted Proto-Drac in Valkyrian in western Storm Peaks, or the Proto-Whelp Hatchling in Ember Clutch in western Howling Fjord. Shifting Sun Curio, made from Sun Crystal, Shadow Crystal, and Scourge Curio, dropped from any Northrend. Scourge, lost Chandrel spirits in the Scattered Ruins right below in the river in the Crystal Song Forest, or a low-level alternative would be a Sordid Scourge in the Temple City of Enkala in the Eastern Borean Tundra. And finally, the Wicked Sun Brooch, made from the huge Citrine, Sun Crystal, and Iron Dwarf Brooch, dropped from Northrend Iron Dwarves, found on the Stormforged Lore Seekers in the cave north of Frosthold in the Western Storm Peaks, but you can also find them from the Iron Dwarves in Giants Run in Eastern Howling Fjord. If you can't wait, Tiffany Cartier will trade you a Dalaran Jewel Crafter's token for every 10 titanium powder you bring her. So you have the option to prospect titanium ore for titanium powder, or just buy the powder directly from the auction house to earn your gem designs. It'll be a lot more expensive than doing the daily quest for the tokens, but when you're desperate to learn a particular cut, this is the fastest way to get it. I'd probably supplement a little of this, a little of that. All right, so we have another episode in the pipe, 5x5, before we get into the what honestly looks to be some dope action figures. That's one of the coolest things I've seen so far. Super cool. Thank you everybody so much for, they're dedicating this to the memory of a prototype painter. He died at the age of 38. Bummer, bro. Always is a bummer to see anybody die young for whatever the reason. But super cool thing, and we will get into that next time. Thanks everybody so much for watching and for listening. I greatly appreciate you, and it's always a bummer to have to go, but I will see you on the next episode of Lore of Warcraft. Adios.